Hear ye, hear ye. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Dukes of Gaming podcast. This is your boy Thomas, the Duke of Procrastination. Thank you for choosing to hang with us for the next hour and some change as we talk about what's happening in the world of video games. But I couldn't do it without my co-host. I couldn't do it without my fellow Dukes. Introducing first, what's going on, Cole? How you doing this week?
Duke of Rocket League here, doing good.
Hey.
Enjoying the fireworks. Today, I turned 36 years old. I was born right in the middle of the 80s, 1985. Anyway, glad to be here, guys. Cheers.
Happy birthday to a fellow Duke.
Happy birthday.
We got the Duke of Nostalgia. What's going on, Taylor?
Not much. Just getting ready for the long weekend of fireworks.
And I think we're all going to go through this. If you hear any fireworks in the background, audience, we all apologize. It is July 3rd.
I live in the center of the city, and they're firing them off on Main Street.
Same. We were hearing them earlier.
I live in the cut, and they're firing them off the same way, so I don't think it matters. People are just excited.
They're just going off tonight.
And I'm excited for them. What's going on? We have the Duke of Education. What's going on?
Hello,
Alfredo?
yeah. School is out, though, and the Steam Summer Sale is happening, so call me Duke of Indies this week. My wallet is crying.
Sometimes you got to do it, though.
You always have to do it.
Now, before I get to what we're playing this week, I have a question for the core. Is ketchup a smoothie?
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
This is that.
Why is it not? Why is it not?
I want to know why you think it is.
A smoothie is when you combine fruits and vegetables all together into a liquid form.
Welcome to our gaming podcast.
What about but hold on, this is important. What about the dairy? Isn't dairy like a part of it?
No, you don't need dairy for every smoothie. I've had smoothies with no milk.
So what if the difference is no smoothie has sodium in it? And since the sodium is the differentiator that makes it a condiment as opposed to a smoothie.
The sodium counter argument.
Oh, I think that's a very good rebuttal.
What about
anyone?
Conversation over.
All right, no. Now we're gonna throw in banana ketchup.
Which I'm just learning is a thing, apparently.
It's,
I didn't know that either.
I think it's a Taiwanese condiment. It's made with bananas.
Okay, well, everyone, you have your homework. Everyone try banana ketchup. Order it on Amazon probably, and we'll review it next week.
And if you are watching on YouTube, please comment below whether you think ketchup is a smoothie or not. I personally think it is. But I think Cole made a pretty good argument as to why it's not. But I think Taylor made a good argument as to why it could be. So
Bananas.
I guess I'll go first. In terms of what we've been playing this week, I'll be pretty quick. So I've been playing a bit of Destiny 2. I put in maybe like 4 hours in today. And I put in maybe 4 hours throughout the whole week in total. I haven't really been playing that much of video games in general this week, but I've had a good amount of time playing this game. I have tried to play this game more times than probably any other game on my PlayStation 4 at the time, now PlayStation 5. For some reason, it's clicked for me now. As I'm playing it, I'm sitting there like, I wish I had gotten into this maybe like 2 years ago.
That's so funny because actually, I've also been playing Destiny, but about 2 weeks ago, I haven't touched it since then. But have you been playing with anybody? Or are you doing it solo?
Just doing it solo so far. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't trash.
Right.
So, just trying to just get the feel for it again. Yeah, I'm having a really good time with this game.
I would love to jump back into Destiny 2. If y'all want to get together and play, I played it when it first launched. I hadn't played any of the updates, but I love playing. I don't like playing Destiny 2 solo. I want to play with a fire team. But I feel like that's the best.
We could be a clan.
Yeah,
we could definitely be the Duke clan.
Yeah, Taylor, what's your experience?
Are you talking about Destiny 2 or Destiny?
No, two.
Yeah, I never. I own Destiny. Never ever. It's mint inbox. Never touched it.
It's free to play now.
Really?
Is it really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this question. So Destiny 2, all the expansion stuff, does it have like when I first played Destiny, it had a little bit of this feel, and really those first trailers that came out gave it this feel I'm about to describe, and it really captivated me. Now I don't think they ever lived up to this, but if they had of, I think it would have been absolutely incredible. Not saying that Destiny's not something special, because we all know it is, but when it first came out, it had this like, it looked like a more of a sense of adventure and exploration and grandness than when it came out, and it was more or less like going
More
through,
Destiny.
more Destiny, going through levels and all this. But like, if they lived up to like that kind of exploration and like that more depth, I think it could have been so special to me. But I don't know, they went their own route and they carved it out, and it turned out great.
Me personally, I've had a very weird. I can answer your question, but I've had a weird experience with Destiny, because I got it first day one.
Same.
Like Destiny 1,
Me too,
first
yeah.
day, so excited, was super disappointed, but I still finished it.
Mm-hmm.
And because, like you said, they've always kind of hinted at this grandness feel towards it.
Yeah.
And I don't think they've ever reached that.
No.
Ever. Even now, I don't think they've reached that.
Yeah.
What I think they've done is they've nailed the fundamentals of their gameplay
Mhm.
and nailed the fundamentals of how to get through a level, the types of like the differences between doing just a quest mission and a strike playlist. You know, they've nailed that. And I think that in hindsight probably is the right direction for the game to go in. Like, let Halo Infinite do the grandness. Like, let that franchise do that, you know?
I think
think
there's room
Destin-
for both of them. You know, both of them to do that. I mean, since, you know, Bungie did branch off, you know, they are literally Halo, you know, developers, or branched off
Right.
to become, you know, Bungie as it is now. But I think there's always room for healthy competition. So I'm excited to see where they, you know, keep going with it, because it seems like, especially with their newest expansions, that they're trying to get there, like to the Halo level, you know, of epicness. But
The thing is, it will never reach that, because Halo has Master Chief.
Mhm.
Like, he is just a brand in and of himself. Like,
Destiny-
He is Xbox.
Destiny has Paul McCartney.
and they had Peter Dinklage for a
They had
little
Peter
bit, for a
Dinklage.
hot sec.
and the guy from Breaking Bad.
Walter White.
No.
Hank,
The
the guy who plays Hank.
Oh,
They
That
had
guy?
Nate Fillion. They had Nate Fillion. I know that.
I know they had Nate Fillion.
Aaron.
the-
I mean, what's his name?
The guy who owned
Like
the
Jesse.
chicken place. No, the guy who owned Los Palos.
Gus.
Gus. They
Yeah,
had Gus.
Gus.
Yeah,
Gus,
yeah.
Gus was in the.
Esposito. Ooh.
That's right. He was in the trailer for 2,
Esposito,
I think.
yeah.
He was all like telling the story to his daughter or son. He's like, oh,
Oh yeah, that's right.
Mhm.
remember when I
But
cooked
see-
meth?
They don't ever commit to, like, this is the person who's going to represent the Destiny brand.
And let's be honest, that the Paul McCartney music video is very embarrassing. I think it's genuinely cringy, because it's so out of it's like it's kind of out of touch. Paul McCartney.
I will say this about, they don't have anybody to represent it, and I do agree about the Paul McCartney thing. That is it's ridiculous. So
Yeah.
the thing is it's your story. Like, this is your story. So I think it's really about the Guardians as opposed to putting it on, which probably hinders the story, because Halo can hang it all on Master Chief, and like everybody's obsessed with that. So, but like the fact that it's everyone's story, it's MMO, I think that kind of plays to Halo. But
Yeah.
Thomas, you're right about what they nail is the same thing I tell you guys all the time. My 3 favorite games: Bloodborne, Rocket League, Grand Theft Auto, and it's all about the gameplay. To me, it's the second gameplay, and Destiny does it in daggum spades.
Mhm.
It feels so good, and that's why I keep coming back to Destiny. That's why I like Destiny. I don't even like first-person shooters at all. I hate first-person shooters. I don't play them. I will play Halo because the game feels so good, and especially Destiny. To me, Destiny feels better, but I haven't played much Halo. But that's why I want to play Destiny, because it feels phenomenal.
Yeah, and I will say this is the first time I played Destiny 2 since beating all the Halos. Before the last time I got into it, I hadn't beaten all the Halos yet. And so coming to it with that frame of mind of the games they previously made, I'm like, oh, this might be my favorite gunplay.
Yeah.
Like, and I would think, like, Call of Duty's gunplay is, to me, industry standard. But Destiny 2 definitely, if it's not number one, it's number two. Like, it's in that ballpark. Because it nails movement, it nails shooting. The fact that you have that jetpack. You know what I'm saying? The jetpack that you can kind of control. That's something that's unique to Destiny. And I love
the classic argument against Destiny for being good is all the enemies all have the same, like, all have more health. Oh, it's a tough boss just because they have a lot of health. What do you feel about that argument?
Yeah, that's the same thing that they do for like Division, though.
Yeah, my argument for that is just play Crucible then.
Mm-hmm. That's
well,
true.
I'd say
Which is
my
the
argument
PvP.
for that is when you're going through like when I played Destiny, I don't know who knows if it's changed, whatever. I played Destiny 1 a lot. Destiny 2, I beat the campaign, didn't really play much past that. But when you're going through the levels, the smaller enemies and everything, it's very satisfying beating them. Like, they're a little bit bullet spongy, but it feels your bullets have weight to them. You're hitting them. You see, they react to your shots and stuff. And like when they don't feel like they're just sucking in bullets. Now, the bosses do feel like that. In Destiny 1, the strikes felt like, oh, God, I'm just raining bullets on these guys. And it's not even, they're just flashing or something. It's like, it was very repetitive, I thought. Like, that was the downside of Destiny 1. I don't know if they've fixed that with the bosses or the strikes or whatever. Yeah, that is definitely a downside. Like, I think that's, to me, my favorite part was going through the levels and fighting the little smaller enemies and the hordes and stuff like that was fun, but the bosses to me were not fun.
And to wrap it up, it's a different game now because it theoretically is a PS5, Xbox Series X game now. Mm-hmm. So it's 60 frames. You can adjust your field of view now. It feels amazing. And before, I didn't like comparing it to, like, let's say the Halos or Call of Duties because it only ran at 30 frames. So now that it runs at that 60 frames, it feels like it can compete with all those other shooters, which is why I'm having such a good time playing it. Maybe we might get a little squad going on, the Duke squad. We'll see if we can do that, but I digress. Alfredo, what you been playing this week?
Sure. Yeah. Like I said, my wallet's crying. I've been buying way too many indies, and so one of the indie games that I've been playing is a game called Griftlands. Has anyone ever heard of this game? So on Steam, I bought it. It's on sale, I think, for 25% off. But I bought this game because it has overwhelmingly positive reviews. And basically what it is it's a Slay the Spire type game, which is basically... Slay the Spire was a game that kind of made card deck building roguelikes popular. And it's basically, if you would envision, let's say, if you were playing Pokemon, like the card game Pokemon, and each card had an attack and certain, actions or certain points it costs to perform the attack, and you only have 3 actions out of the whole turn. That's what these games are. Basically, you get a whole deck, different cards that have different abilities, and you're trying to take out enemies with these different abilities and different attacks that do different amount of damage and a whole bunch of different things. So Slay the Spire kind of made it popular because it was kind of like the first one that everyone grouped to, and they did it in a really cool way where they had really cool art style, they had really cool enemies, and they had different characters who had different cards and decks. Basically, this game, Griftlands, takes it up another level because rather than you just saying, you are the hero, you are this character, and you need to defend, defeat the big bad at the top of the spire, at the top of the tower. This game instead says you are this specific character who is like on the run. This is your backstory. And you have all of these characters so that you can interact with. So it's part card deck builder and battling and part relationship sim, basically. So you people who you will be fighting, some people you have talked to. There's kind of like a morality system where you can either get people to love you, or if they hate you, you will get like a boon if they love you, or if they hate you, you'll get like a detriment to your character as a whole in these battles. And another thing it does is it makes the decision of you can battle people, or you can try to negotiate with them and have basically a pacifist run, or just kill everything in sight. And depending on what's happening in the story and the situation, you can choose whether to talk it out and try to get people on your side, or just kill everyone. So it does some really cool stuff. The fact that you get to know these different characters, and you get to travel to like these different towns, you get to like go on these specific quests, and the fact that you're actually talking and there is a story to actually follow, instead of you just getting to the top of the tower just because, makes it pretty fun. It reminds me a little bit of Persona in the fact, of that relationship building, you get to know people. It's just fun. And I like the fact that, you have the option of, negotiating, and, that might lead to different story paths and stuff. Pretty fun game.
Nice.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend it.
Now,
I
have a question, because I'm a big fan of Magic the Gathering. I'm also a big fan of RPGs. So I like card games and I like RPGs, and I've always felt like these sort of games, and I've seen a couple clips of this game, where people pull off neat little combos with their cards. Mm-hmm. And the idea of Magic the Gathering, the original designer's idea was you were this grand wizard or witch, and the cards were sort of your tome. They were what you cast from. They were like, oh, I know this spell and I know this spell. And you're having a grand battle. And I've always wanted a game to kind of feel like that, where you're playing an RPG, but you can pull out these cards and they're like casting magic. I've always felt like games like this were just sort of a card game with a cutesy animation slapped on in the background. What do you... Yeah, what do you...
This game, unfortunately, is that.
Okay.
However, so there's 3 different characters, and there's 3 different specific stories. So, like, picture 3 different campaigns associated with the 3 different characters. You have to go in order, basically, but they unlock as you play. So I did the first and the second one. The first is exactly what you're saying. You get the cards. It's just attacking. It's just representing what you can do as a character. However, the second character has like a neat little function to them, in that they have something where it's magic-esque, in that he's like a gunner for hire. So he has like pistols, and basically he has, in addition to the cards, he has charges that are associated with his like plasma dual pistols. And basically, depending on the cards, you can build up the charges in order to do that. So it's kind of magic-esque, but it still is kind of, the cards are just, representing what, you're just hitting them, unfortunately.
Oh, well.
I don't know what the third character is, so it might be magic, but essentially it is. But I really like it.
Okay.
It's really fun for me. I did like Slay the Spire as well. But these games are kind of right up my alley. It's just like something new rather than, the standard third-person action adventure game. Just something new.
Cool.
Yeah. Aside from that, I also got Game Pass for $1 for 3 months. Great deal. So I have Game Pass Ultimate for 3 whole months. And the catalog is kind of intimidating, honestly. I started playing, I got it because I really wanted to play this game called Dungeons & Dragons Dark Alliance on a release date. Gonna be very brief with that. Game is not good, unfortunately. It's a third-person action-adventure hack-and-slash game, but to be very brief, the attacks don't really connect. They don't feel good. You can't really cancel combos. It's not that fun, basically. But it could be a good co-op game, I guess, if you're just looking for it. And I'm not mad about it because it literally cost me $1 and I didn't spend $60 on this game. And I still have access to every other Xbox Game Pass game. So I started playing Yakuza because Yakuza has the entire series on Game Pass for
That's
that
awesome.
same $1 I spent. So I started playing that, and I am enjoying it so far.
Which
Haven't
one?
gotten
Which
there.
one are you playing?
I decided to start with Yakuza 0, which is like a prequel. So before like Yakuza 1, 2, 3, all those, I started with Yakuza 0. So that's what I'm starting with. So we'll see how it goes.
Nice.
But yeah.
I've been playing Like a Dragon. I was playing that one.
Yeah, I wanted to start with it because I know that one's the turn-based one, but I was like, I think I gotta do it justice. I gotta go through the whole set.
I feel it. That one's more like Persona than anything else.
Yeah, which is why I'm excited to get to it. But I know these games are not short, so
And
we'll
there's
see.
and there are like 5 of them.
And yeah, I got 3 months to try to get up to 6, so we'll see if I can do it. But yeah,
Wishing you luck.
thank you,
And
thank you.
all right, Taylor, who have you been playing this week?
Absolutely nothing. Well, that's not exactly true. I've been playing some Game Boy games, none of them with much focus. I've been mostly hacking them. I bought this little USB to Game Boy thing a couple months back, and I've only just started messing around with it full time. I played some games that I really liked last week, and one of them I will talk about if we do Reminisce. But I've also been trying to use ROMs and upload those saves to my cartridges. So successful so far. Took me a little bit of finagling, but now I can upload ROM games to cartridges, take them with me, which is fun.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
We're gonna need to get like a list of your top like 5 or top 10 games to try
yeah.
on the GBA.
Yeah, I definitely have too many.
We might have to do a whole Game Boy Advance topic one day.
That'd be cool.
We might have to.
In retrospect.
Yeah, we might have to. I have a lot to say about that system. A lot of hours. And then there was Cole.
I have played a lot of Days Gone, and also Rocket League, which is my go-to game. I have to play that every week. I'm addicted. Also, I forgot about one other game I did play, which is incredible. I've put a lot of hours into this game, and it's a little indie game, and the name is it is Towerfall Ascension. Y'all played this?
Oh,
Yeah.
a long time ago, yeah.
So I got it. I bought it, or I didn't buy it. I think it was a PlayStation Plus
It was
game.
It was because I have it. That's where I got it. Yep.
Yes. And
So when it first came out, PlayStation Plus, I played it. So have y'all played multiplayer?
Mhm.
Oh man,
I
this
have.
is a great co-op game. Taylor, you would probably like this, like in indie games and stuff. So it's like you just look up gameplay of it. It's like fixed. I don't know how to describe this. It's an arena, it's 2D side scroller. It's like you picture the old Mario game where you run out one side and you come out the other side.
kind of like Pac-Man.
Yeah, kind of like Pac-Man. Like it looks like a board almost, like set up. But like you could run off the side of the screen and you can come onto the other side. You come back off the other side, you know. So you have a set. You can hold like 3, 4, 5 arrows. I think 5 arrows or 4, whatever. You shoot your arrows. You can retrieve them. It's very, very simple. There's a dash button. There's a shoot button. You can kill enemies by jumping on their head or shooting them with the arrow. You can accidentally kill your co-op partner.
Or
Um,
purposefully.
Or purposely. There's an awesome deathmatch mode, but like where me and my cousin played, we played where you can play through the levels. So there's like you run through a series of like 10 levels, each or 10 worlds, whatever, and there's like phases, like 4 or 5 different versions where it gets harder and harder and harder. And I think you have shared lives. I can't remember. Is it
I
shared
think
lives?
you do. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but the gameplay is so fun, and it's so satisfying shooting these little bows, these bow and arrows, and retrieving your arrows, and working together with your partner and stuff, and like so much funny stuff happens, and really satisfying when you die or like when you kill the last enemy, it slows down slow motion. So if you're playing a deathmatch or whatever, and you get the last guy, it's all slow motion, and it shows a replay, so you can always see the replay of your last 5 seconds, like, and some just crazy stuff happens, but. Incredible game. So I rebought it. He came in town this week. I rebought it on Switch because I can't remember, why did I rebuy it? Oh, because I didn't have enough controllers on DualShock. On the we wanted to play with 4 players, so I bought it on the Switch because I had 4 controllers, and the game is absolutely worth it. We played couch co-op with some other little cousins, and then we played some more just 2-player and ran through the levels. And man, it's so fun. It's an incredible game. If anybody wants to check that out, but
Nice.
The
it's
game
well
gets
worth it.
so hard too, toward the end
Mhm.
levels. So aggravating, but it's so fun at the same time.
Yeah, it is. It's awesome. But yeah,
Good stuff. I might have to cut that back on because I have it on. I think I still have it on my PS4, PS5, but
so I think they
haven't touched it
added.
in a while.
I think they added online co-op too.
Oh wow, I might have to play that.
Mhm.
I might have to put some time in.
Yeah.
Speaking of an indie games in general on Sony, let's kick this off with a conversation that has kind of gone on pretty much since I think the article came out for IGN on Wednesday about the indie game scene on PlayStation and how some developers feel that Sony is not looking out for them. This comes from IGN. Rebecca Valentine made an article about a conversation that was kicked off by Neon Doctrines co-founder and Ian Gardner, in which he doesn't name PlayStation. He calls them Platform X. But he does go off on a little tangent about the fact, listing multiple reasons why Sony isn't necessarily the best place for a lot of indie developers. And I thought that was very interesting. I thought it was a very interesting kind of perspective from somebody who obviously knows the way and the system of how to get your game on a Sony platform compared to, let's say, a Nintendo or an Xbox. So I kind of want to kick it off to you all. Anybody read this article? And if so, how'd you feel about it?
Yeah, what's really interesting, I think it's kind of telling that Ian Gardner, how you said, he kicked off the thread of this whole PlayStation indie drama by basically saying this is about Platform X, and Platform X is the operator of a very successful console and does not have Games Pass. So with that, he's kind of started going into everything else. So, everyone kind of knew he was talking about PlayStation after
Right.
he started with that. And then, after kind of, listing his, frustrations with Platform X, with PlayStation, it's kind of spun into an ordeal where everyone, all other indies started listing their experiences with PlayStation as well, and how it hasn't been the best. And from their journalists started, kind of adding into, yeah, I've heard this about Sony as well, and they're not really playing well. And I can't say I'm surprised because we've talked about this a little bit where PlayStation is seemingly hyper-focused on AAA development now. They're gearing up their PlayStation studios. They have new acquisitions. We're hearing about them all the time, which we'll get to in a little bit. But they're really focused on creating these AAA experiences, not so much arcade experiences, and they don't really even seem interested in doing indie games as well. They are super concerned with their bottom line now. I think with this article, some specific mentions were of grievances were that there's like a $25,000 cost in order to be hosted or featured on the PlayStation Store, so that developers, whether it be AAA or not, or indies, can be seen. And it's just a fact that indies, some of them won't be able to afford that price tag, so some of them won't be visible on PlayStation Store itself. Whereas with Xbox, the story seems to be that it's such an easier process. Not only with Xbox, with Nintendo, Epic Games, Steam, it's just an easier. They don't have as much difficulty as getting visibility and just having trouble of just getting basic questions and basic support for these indie games, because PlayStation is specifically seemingly to understaff the indie support team. So they're not giving enough resources to them because they're interested in where they can make the most money in, and sadly that's not indies.
Cole, you're a lawyer, right?
Well, not technically.
We have
That's
to,
a yes.
we have to say allegedly, right? This is
He
allegedly.
knows his stuff.
This is allegedly
Yeah,
PlayStation.
I'm not.
Yeah.
I didn't take the bar exam, so I'm not officially a lawyer. I went to law school, so
Okay.
I have a general background.
This is allegedly PlayStation. It's allegedly.
Yeah.
Just like crossing our I's, dotting our T's, allegedly.
Yeah. So I think what I think about this is what I've been saying before. I think that Sony just is so high and mighty that they're winning this race so bad that they don't need indies. So they just, frankly, just don't care, which sucks that they're in that position. Now, I did remember this one policy that Microsoft had a few years ago. Do y'all remember Microsoft had this policy? I can't remember. It was at least, I think it was around 4 years ago or so. But if you released a game on another platform first, you were not allowed to be on the Microsoft store. They would not carry your game. Do y'all remember that? Do y'all remember hearing about that?
No.
I'll have to
Was that
find an
with
article.
was Xbox Live Arcade?
Maybe I know. I think it was just Microsoft's policy in general. Microsoft. It was some. Look, I'm gonna have to find it, but I specifically remember them having some crazy thing like if you want to release and you release earlier on another platform, you are not allowed to release. Because I think the game that it affected was No Man's Sky, but No Man's Sky eventually came to. That was 2016, and it eventually came to Microsoft, right?
So no timed
eventually-
no timed exclusives.
Yeah, I guess that's what it was. But it was. I think it might have been like an older policy they had, and they just kind of slowly.
The 360 generation was actually where they embraced indies. That was because
No, I'm not
that's
talking
when
about
they
indies.
had.
No, it's not indie specifically. I'm just talking about like their policy on just games coming to Xbox. So I mean, not really indie specifically, but like that's when they were like, okay, if you release any game on another platform before Microsoft, then you can't come over here if you don't do it at the same time. I'm gonna try to find something on it, but I remember that. I don't know. It's just interesting.
Well, speaking of No Man's Sky, though, the fable, the story of No Man's Sky is, Hello Games was an indie developer, and then all of a sudden Sony shows up. Here's a couple $1 million. Please make this a AAA game. Could it be that Sony, and this is going to fall into other topics we talk about, but Sony really wants to be seen as the art house gaming studio. We know they're the story-driven games. We know that's where they hit the home runs. I don't know. It's just that's a theory.
I feel you.
Allegedly.
I'll ask a question and answer it myself. So, the question is, do indies sell consoles? And the answer, I think, is it's a nuanced question. It depends on the console. I think for Nintendo, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Indies can sell a lot of Switches. I think that, that's like indies are, I think, the best suited on a Nintendo Switch.
For sure.
If you ask that question for Xbox, yes, because they can go on Game Pass. And it just adds to the Game Pass library. For PlayStation, I think that answer is no.
That's a good.
I don't think anybody is buying a PlayStation 5 to play Shovel Knight.
Mm-hmm. But that's a problem too, because even Shovel Knight is like one of the highly acclaimed, indie titles that everybody raves about. Chances are, if you heard about Shovel Knight, you didn't hear about it from PlayStation. You heard about it from anywhere else, because Shovel Knight wouldn't, it didn't gain its following from the PlayStation Store. However, once it did happen, and once they saw that Shovel Knight was this big indie game, you can bet Sony made sure to, we should put that on the, the indie slide featured and make sure it gets on there.
But I guess my point is, Sony is the highest selling platform right now. And they've done that without embracing indies, for the most part. If you're not a third-person action game or a third-party game that's funded by Ubisoft or EA or anything like that, Sony doesn't really have a care in the world for you.
But they did have a
seems like.
care when when we came from PlayStation 3 to PlayStation 4, man, they were heavy on indies then because they were not winning that. They did not win that console generation. Well, even though they won the amount of consoles sold in the zeitgeist of everything, I think Xbox 360 won that Xbox 360 PS3 generation. And so when they came into PS4, they put a heavy emphasis on indies when they.
Well, I think they put
lead.
I don't think they put a heavy emphasis on indies as much as I think they put a heavy emphasis on gaming. Like this is the games box, and indies are included with that. It's not where we're focused. Like I feel like Nintendo, for example, Nintendo has put a focus. Like they literally have a Nindy showcase. Yeah. Like that's a big part of the Switch. But I don't think Sony has ever had that. We are where you should play your indie games. I don't think they've ever had that like in them.
And I think you're right. I think you're right, Thomas, because as a dirty consumer myself, like if I go on a PS4, I'm flipping through the store just like lazy day, and I see an indie game. My first thought is it on the Switch or PC? Mm-hmm. And if it's not on either, then I go, well, I'll play some free games on itch.io. Because I'm just not going to play it on the PS4.
I don't like, if you think about Xbox, for example, like you can play indie games on your Xbox. You can also play them on your phone through your Xbox as well.
Yeah.
On your Switch, you can play them on the go. When you're playing on your PlayStation 5 or your PlayStation 4, like you're playing that on your couch most likely. You're playing that on your computers. It's just, I don't think the console lends itself to indie games.
Not anymore. Like, I think it did it in the PlayStation 4 because that was really the only place to play them besides PC. I think the Switch has stepped in strong with that.
I think early on, yes, Cole. I think early on, yes. But that was also when they didn't have many games for the platform in general.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it wasn't like now where like it wasn't backwards compatible. Like you were only playing indie games or the select PlayStation 4 games. So when they didn't have exclusives coming out once every couple months,
so
like they were valuable for that. I think that first maybe 2-year period, I'd say maybe they were, and a lot of them came from PlayStation Plus. Like you would get them for free on PlayStation Plus. That's where a lot of indie games got their shine. Mm-hmm. And they still get their shine that way as well. But I'd say since they've focused, it's because if you're not a third-person action game, Sony doesn't care, exclusive-wise. So I think that, and that's gotten them to be the highest-selling console, for the past 7 years and going.
Yeah.
So I think that they're just saying, if it's not broke, we're not fixing it, and these indies aren't going to help us, gain a lead on market share, which I think is a fucked up way to look at it.
I agree.
In general,
I think it's shitty. I do.
Yeah, I think I'm not saying it's a good thing. It's fucked up because but indie games are the backbone of the gaming industry.
Can we go back to this real quick? So
sure.
What I was saying about the parody, so I found it. This is just interesting. It's a little slightly off topic, but this is from 2017, right? The parody, it's a parody clause. Microsoft has a parody clause. The parody stipulates that indies are only able to release on Xbox One if it's specifically an indies clause. So it was directed particularly at indies, which is kind of crazy. It stipulates that indies are only able to release on Xbox One if it's simultaneous with versions for other platforms.
Even Steam?
That's so weird.
That's what it says. So
that has to be a console exclusive because there's no way if it was because most indie games premiere on Steam
early. Yeah, and they have Steam early.
There's no way. There's no way they.
I know, that was a thing though, and like so they said as this is a quote from Phil Spencer. As Xbox One customers, we want good games as they come out on both platforms. So I guess it's more directed at Sony.
Yeah, it seems like it seems like it's a console thing. Yeah. I can't imagine they could have ever done that. They would have had no indie games on that system if that was the case.
They said they don't generally the gist of it was saying that they don't want to penalize indies, but they want them to know that clause and just look at it more as we're going to incentivize you to come. But still, it was a rule, and if they did it, they would not let a game be released on PlayStation. If they broke that clause. If they released on PlayStation first, they would not let them come to Xbox, and they upheld it and were pretty stringent about it for a while, I guess.
See, the difference that we're seeing here is, apparently Xbox had that clause in their contract, but Sony is kind of doing the thing where they're like, indies can come and be here whenever they want, but when it comes down to it, we're going to give you minimal support. We're going to be not that helpful. You're going to have to do most of the work unless you're kind of like what Taylor was saying, unless you're like a special artsy type of indie like Kena Bridge of Spirits. Then we're going to give you, you know, some good marketing and, you know, maybe you can help us out.
And what is Kena Bridge of Spirits? A third-person action game.
Yep.
You know, so
and it looks very pretty.
It does,
and it's from a film studio.
They know what's good for the PlayStation brand, and also they know that for a lot of indie games, they're the biggest audience. Mm-hmm. Like that's the biggest audience. Like his Xbox has made strides. It's nowhere near as big of an audience as PlayStation. Nowhere near. Switch has made even bigger strides. I don't think it's anywhere near PlayStation in terms of how many PlayStation 4s, 5s are out there compared to how many Switches. So I think PlayStation knows, like, all right, we're going to let you on here. It's going to cost a lot more to be on ours as opposed to the people who are catching up, you know, which I don't think is cool. I don't think it's a cool stance to have. I think we should be encouraging more people to get into the space as opposed to having this gate there, this barrier of entry. I don't like the idea of that, but from a business standpoint, I do completely get it. And I do think the article is the thread that, you know, I forgot the dude's name, Ian, right?
Yes, Ian Gardner.
Obviously, he had a bad experience with trying to release his game on PlayStation.
From a business standpoint, it worries me because of the same thing we've said multiple times on this podcast is that it makes me, I'm a PlayStation fanboy. I love PlayStation. It's my favorite console by far. But it makes me worry because I just feel like they are getting too comfortable being number one and they're just not pushing. Like, if they were second place behind Microsoft, I guarantee this wouldn't be happening. They would be trying to fire on all cylinders and, like, trying to get it, you know what I mean? Like, this is another, even though this is not that big of a deal, it's another sliver of evidence that they're so complacent and they're so high and mighty. Sony, we're at the top, just like they were in PlayStation 2. And then that next generation, that 360 came, just came in hot and passed them for the majority of that generation.
I get what you're saying. My only thing with that is I agree with you. I don't think it's going to change much for this generation.
I don't know.
Because people are going to buy because the PlayStation 5 is the most in-demand item in electronic sphere right now. Like,
that's
it is
true.
There is a demand for it that few consumer items have.
Except for GPUs.
And right. And so I just don't think that no matter what, maybe it might not pay dividends maybe in the PlayStation 6 or whatever that is. But I feel like it's going to be, they would have to make some serious errors. To give the lead up to Microsoft.
Yeah, I definitely see what you're saying. I do think Sony, however, seeing as how big this story became, because it was everywhere, especially on Twitter, I don't think Sony expected it to get on this level and to be kind of, you know.
Right. But I do think at the end of the day, if we take let's think of the entire PlayStation ecosystem as like one big pie. How many people who read this article you think are part of that pie? Like a sliver, you know, like a lot of people don't pay attention. A lot of people literally buy a PS5 and play Call of Duty, FIFA, and they're good.
I don't think it's gonna, I don't think they're gonna do a total overhaul or anything like that. Of course not. But I do think that it was this PlayStation drama with indies is large enough that Sony is gonna be doing some backpedaling and maybe thinking, okay, we got called out for not, giving as much support as other people have been to indies in general. Let's bump up our indies support staff. And if they do that just a little bit, that'll be a win, because I think the brunt of this is that not only is it expensive, of course, there's always going to be fees when it comes to it, but the brunt of people's frustrations is the fact that they aren't getting the support they need, whether that be just through simple emails or there's the process to get their games on PlayStation. So if this ends up boosting that and giving the lighting a fire under Sony's ass to give them more support, then it's a win.
I don't think they're going to do it because I think that they're in this place that I'm talking about, and I wish they would. That would be like the right thing to do, right? If you were Sony, but I think they're so overly confident. And
it's definitely something that we have to be aware of. We definitely need to look out for these small chinks in the armor of Sony, but they're trying to cover up those chinks by maybe buying some more studios. There was a report this week that Sony has bought Housemarque Games, and they've been rumored to have bought Bluepoint, but that one is not confirmed. Housemarque, the makers of games like Returnal, Resogun, and a whole host of other games that I don't know the names of. I know Hellriders is one. Is this a good thing? Is this just a whatever thing? What's your opinions?
I mean, it makes sense, especially when it comes to Housemarque, because they, have had a close relationship for so long, Sony and Housemarque. And, of course, you can only imagine the numbers for Returnal being one of the only PS5 exclusives now. They probably did gangbuster numbers because everyone who had a PS5 was craving for a game, and that was the game to get. And it was a really good game. It did well critically. It did well with consumers. Everyone seemed to really like the game. So, I mean, it makes sense. What's interesting is the Bluepoint acquisition, which I think also makes sense since they also have a close tie to Sony. But what essentially happened was that PlayStation Japan, I believe, their account was supposed to send out, congratulations, Housemarque, for joining the PlayStation Studios. But they accidentally attached a image showing congratulations, Bluepoint, for joining. So people are saying this is all but confirmed that Bluepoint is also, coming into PlayStation Studios, but it has yet to be confirmed just because of that accident, in quotes, accident. But I think it's pretty exciting. I don't think it's anything game-changing, though, because these two studios have been working with Sony exclusively, and none of their games have really come to Xbox in the past. So for me, it's kind of business as usual, but it's always exciting whenever new studios come into, whether it be Xbox or PlayStation, from the indie side, because that just means they'll get, that AAA budget to make the games that they did make even better. And it's guaranteed, so they, the developers don't have to worry about stability, security, all that jazz. But yeah, it's kind of business as usual. I didn't bat an eye when I saw this, just because they've been working closely with them already. And they make good games, all of them.
Right. I bat an eye only because I was like, I thought these are already first-party studios. That was the only thing I bat an eye of. I didn't realize they weren't already first-party. I didn't realize that, so... happy for Housemarque, good for them, got the check, and Bluepoint, please make the Metal Gear Solid remake, damn it. That's all I want.
It will be interesting with Housemarque, though, now that they have this AAA funding, to see if they go back to some of their, arcade games instead of just AAA like they did with Returnal. I don't know. I think they have the opportunity now to, grow because they have PlayStation funding, so they can grow, potentially have smaller teams, which pop out these smaller indie, how ironic, indie-like experience, arcade-like experiences. But we said with Sony,
that's
might
why
not be happening.
Our past conversation, our last topic, leads me to say no. Sony's not
the ideal world. The ideal world, because Housemarque's arcade games are good.
Oh, Resogun's one of my favorite. I might play Resogun tonight. I love that game. But I just don't think Sony's going to fund those anymore. I think the numbers for Returnal, I assume, were pretty good. I think the last time I saw them, they were pretty good. I don't think that Sony bought them so they can make a game that's going to make less money than that. I hope I'm wrong. Because I could use a Resogun too. Taylor, Cole, do you have any thoughts on it?
Nah.
Business as usual. I'm like, business as usual. They've been working with Sony forever, and it's probably just made financial sense to go ahead and acquire them. And they did. So, yeah.
Now, a studio that is already first party, Sucker Punch has announced a new portion of Ghost of Tsushima, a director's cut. This comes to us from the PlayStation blog. Ghost of Tsushima is releasing with a new island, a PlayStation 5 enhanced version of their hit game from last year, Ghost of Tsushima. I am minorly excited about this. I really like Ghost of Tsushima. That was one of my favorite games of last year, which I wasn't expecting. It had everything I wanted from a samurai game. It's probably the best samurai game ever made. And I thought this was going to be more of a like Miles Morales situation, but I'm glad it's just additional content. So are y'all excited for this? Have anybody put the time into Ghost of Tsushima from last year?
Yeah, man, I'm really excited. I never finished the game, so this gives me a reason to go back. The PlayStation 5 update, which they announced an additional update, right? It's going to be 4K and 60 frames per second now.
And it's like, God, the game already looks so good.
Right.
Yeah, I saw so it's a $30 upcharge from PS4 to PS5
but you get that DLC, right? It's basically the same thing as Final Fantasy 7.
Yeah.
Yeah,
seems like.
Yeah, man, it looks awesome. I want to finish the game and lead up into that, so I'll probably jump back in. What's the release date on this?
August.
It is August 20th.
Yep.
And this is something too that I've heard nothing but good things about the multiplayer. So I'd love to play this with y'all.
We have
this
to. That's another Duke game. We have to get the multiplayer.
Dude, for sure.
I've been dying to get into it, but I don't know anybody else who plays it. So
yeah, man. So I've actually been dying to play 3 games with y'all specifically. So actually 4, but we know Grand Theft Auto is one of them. So let's just go ahead and skip that one. I was talking to our friend earlier. Really, the GTA, I would like us all to jump in after the PS5 update comes out because that's probably gonna be pretty massive. But that's in November.
I feel like we should hop in I feel like we should do the PS4 version like maybe a day before, and then go into the PS5 version so we can see our thoughts.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Ghost of Tsushima. I cannot say this word. I just call it Ghost.
Tsushima.
Is it Tsushima or Tsushima?
Tsushima.
I actually don't know now.
I think it's Tsushima. I think it's Tsushima.
Ghost of Tsushima.
Sure.
No, so anyway,
I should know this. I love Japanese culture. I should know this.
So okay,
I'm ashamed of myself.
Tsushima, I think. Honestly, I don't know if I'm going to hop back in because I kind of did a completionist run of this game when it first came out. But with this one, it seems like like you said, Thomas, that the expansion itself is Iki Island, and it does promise to be a kind of like a new story like that fits actually in the campaign. You can actually access this particular expansion in Act 2 of the game. So it kind of fits in the middle of the game that you can do additionally. So it's gonna be interesting seeing that the expansion is in the middle of the game as opposed to being a continuation of the story. So we're gonna have to wait for Ghost 2 in order to get that. But it does make me think, maybe it won't be anything super consequential of what we're getting because it's supposed to fit within what is already made for the original game. What is really cool is that it promises that you're going to get some more backstory about Jun's past, the main character. They also said that they're going to introduce some new multiplayer surprises and a new multiplayer mode, but they aren't revealing anything about that yet, and you have to stay tuned. So I'm super excited about that because I sunk so many hours into Ghost Legends multiplayer, and it was just really, really fun. So that's probably the part that I'm most excited for.
Fair enough. Now, we have one last topic. And it kind of fits into Sony because Sony is going to be venturing into, VR for a second time. But our main topic this week is what is the future of VR and AR? And what I'm thinking is we can probably have an initial conversation about it, and then maybe we can, follow up on it next week as well, because it's a big topic.
Yeah, and we do want our Duke of Design to weigh in here as well.
We do, but I think we can definitely kind of get the gears going on it. So, for those of you who don't know, there are 2 different types of new video game experiences that have kind of come on the scene. VR, virtual reality, AR, augmented reality. They both do different things. They both have different ways of immersing you. And I just want to put the question out there, which one do we think has the most potential going forward?
VR.
I want to go against the grain here. I want to say, for the immediate future, I want to say AR.
I'd say for any future, AR.
Really?
Okay, so I see. Now, non-gaming related, AR is going to be massive.
Yeah.
Like, when you can put on a pair of sunglasses and people can wear it, it will replace the phone probably. I mean,
Exactly.
so
AR
in
that's
that
why.
sense-
AR is massive like now.
yeah.
That's the thing. Like AR is massive right now. VR is doing the catch up right now, and I think VR can be a cooler experience. But in terms of what's going to be like in
Every
the
day.
zeitgeist, yeah.
But
like for example,
neither one is massively.
Let me
adopted.
just put a little caveat on.
it depends on what you mean. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm just
Taylor.
going to put a little caveat on this conversation. When you say AR, I think we also need to redefine what gaming is. Because if you talk about just pure gaming, then I stick to VR. But if you're going to broaden the spectrum of what gaming is, then you can include more AR. Because if you throw on those Google glasses and you can read stats and look at maps real time with your eyes, I don't know if that's gaming or just utility.
It's,
Oh no, I agree. That's what I'm saying. It's like widely
it's
adopted. That's that I would not consider that gaming. Like being
the
able
way
to
I
walk around
see-
the city and see things like that's just straight up like.
well, the way I
information,
see it is that it's gamifying life. It seems like if you talk about Google Glass specifically or HoloLens or whatever it may be, put on your Dragon Ball Z goggles, you see people's power levels. It's bringing like a game-like experience to real life
Then
for
I
me,
get-
where you can see people's stats, where you can see people's Facebook profiles put up like a little blob next to them. It seems like it's making it it seems like it's blurring those lines to me.
Well, okay,
I would
I think
okay.
it's a new way of interpreting
Do you-
information. Like the cell phone's a way of interpreting.
Do you think that GPS is gamifying life in a way?
Yeah, I think it's.
with only in the case of Pokemon Go and all of those
yeah.
type things where you're literally using the GPS in order to
I can
experience those.
I can see the argument for that because you play a game, you pull up your stat screen, you pull up your maps, you pull up all that, and the fact that I can sit in my car and just say, Siri, take me to Tomato Town, that's pretty cool. That's kind of like a game. See the reason I think AR is not the future of gaming, but it is going to be bigger than VR, is because of normies. The fact that AR,
Right.
the AR, as a video editor, that's what I do. AR, one, pisses me off, and two, makes me very excited for how easy my job's going to be in the future, and how irrelevant my job's going to be in the future. Because you go to Snapchat, you put a filter of a dog face on your face, and it's fucking seamless nowadays.
And it's so
And
cool.
it's so cool. So I think AR is going to be very popular in the vlogosphere of those people who are going around enhancing their photos. The technology is frankly incredible. AR technology looks better than VR because VR is still trying to do computer games, but AR is just trying to enhance reality, which already looks good. There's
Right.
There's also some weird social implications of that where. Alfredo, you said people were gamifying life. People are trying to look more and more like cartoons as a sort of like subgenre of this weird gamification of life where people are like the anime filter was immensely popular and people are still using that as their Facebook profiles because they're like, oh, look at me, I look so kawaii.
Yeah.
It's weird. So I think that's going to be very popular.
I think it's gonna also change the game too. The reason why I would pick VR or AR over VR, I think this depends solely on, something like HoloLens or Google Glass becoming the normal. So right now we have VR where we have to put this bulky, it's getting smaller and smaller, but a bulky headset, we have to define a play space. It's cumbersome. It's multiple steps that you have to go through. AR is just an overlay of whatever you see. So people are currently doing that with their phones with like stuff like Pokemon Go, Hogwarts game. It's going to completely change the game when you have glasses that can go over you that literally can do it anywhere, not just you looking through your phone.
Actually, I just destroyed my own argument. My own thoughts about VR were destroyed by the fact that we're so easily addicted to things. You look at all those Star Trek episodes and Black Mirror episodes that are about AR. You throw onto AR an addictive gaming system like a Candy Crush or something, where you're just walking around with those glasses, you're like, bing, point, bing. Yeah. People are going to eat that shit up.
Yeah, especially mobile game people.
But my thing is, the barrier of entry for AR is so low. If you have just a simple smartphone, you have access to AR capabilities.
Yeah.
And I think that that's one thing that a lot of people don't understand as far as like the digital divide. You know, a lot of people, a lot of like 3 of us have VR units. That's not really a common thing yet, but everybody has a phone. It's like, I get what you're saying as far as gaming goes. I think VR has more potential, but as far as popularity goes, I think AR is only going to get bigger from here.
Going along with that though, it's that what's going to be key in AR becoming more mainstream is the price point. Because there's no way like Google Glass or HoloLens or whatever it comes out, whatever's going to be this glasses that does it is going to be cheap. Like these are going to be thousands of dollars.
But that's the premium AR experience. The phone is a cheap AR experience.
What needs to happen though, and this is not out of the playbook, is Steve Jobs type coming up and saying, "I've made this thing that makes your life fun and better," because that's why we have all of our phones. Steve Jobs came out and really just said, if you can have a phone that's a computer in your pocket, why wouldn't you? And he made it fairly affordable, and then other companies jumped on. They made their shit affordable too, and then you do that with AR glasses. Even though I would say glasses might not be the best way to go about it. I think you are right, Thomas. Phone's probably the only way forward right now. Glasses, people don't like them. They're cumbersome to your viewing area. People who wear glasses, all they want is contacts. Like,
they're easily breakable.
That's true.
You need to have something like a phone or a watch, something that's just on you.
Do you think that people would hop on for that? Like, because when I think about VR and AR, when I think about AR specifically, like just a phone looking through your phone, that just doesn't appeal to me.
No, so it has to be this. It has to be glasses replacing the phone. Instead of spending $800, $900 on your phone, spend $800, $900 on your glasses. And yeah, you can't use your fingers, but you use voice. Siri does everything. Siri sends your text message. Everything you see, you look down at the ground, your text messages are just displayed on the street. You know, and you call Siri. But then I wouldn't say this is gamifying. This is just, to me, gamifying would be like if like you go look in the mirror and you went to the gym, now you're +1 strength. You know, that would be gamifying. Or you go to the library and it knows. It knows you're reading. But how cool would that be?
The most efficient way of doing this. I'll talk about Star Trek for a second. Star Trek episode, The Game, Star Trek Next Generation, where there's a virus that's running through people's brains, and it's just a little piece of glass that's sitting on their head, and it's beaming the game into their eyes. Elon Musk's little brain chip could easily do that. We already have AR mirrors. Amazon already offers AR clothes try-on booths. You can upload a picture of yourself. You can scan 3D objects with your phone super easy now. So you integrate something like a brain chip to all these smart devices. You got smart refrigerators, you got smart mirrors, you got smart phones, you got smart toasters. You integrate it all, and you can clip that into your brain. If you can do something with that, I think that's hopefully many years in the dystopian future, but I think it might be closer than we think. Phones popped out of nowhere.
So I guess how I look at it is, just in simplest terms, what's the most successful VR product we have? Like, as far as what's been released so far.
Oculus?
Got to be Quest.
Okay,
too.
probably Quest 2.
Just
yeah.
because of.
But like
mobility.
I'm more so saying an application.
Oh,
Beat
I don't know if there is one.
I'd say Beat Saber. I would say
Beat
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 Saber.
Saber, yeah.
Now, how does Beat Saber compare to Pokemon Go?
Minuscule. Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Pokemon.
And I'm
Go
like,
beats it
so-
out of the park.
But
VR
to me,
is-
it's not even
VR has an-
comparable. Like, how
Right.
good-
VR has an upscale battle to even get to AR.
The special part of Pokemon Go, though, I would contend is not the AR capabilities. It's the geolocation. Like, 'cause I played that game mainly with my AR off to save battery, and
That's
you
very
literally
good.
the act
Sure.
of you traveling to the places and meeting up with real people and stuff. That was the killer
in the
part
community.
of the community of it. It wasn't the AR capability.
But I'm saying the AR added to the experience, though. Like that's
Yeah, but I don't think it was the experience. Like Beat Saber, that virtual reality is that experience. Like you can't even do that without virtual reality.
So I'm gonna kind of mesh, Thomas, your thought and my thought, where the only profitable way I think forward for AR right now, and the fact that companies like Pokemon Go is incorporating more AR Instagrammable moments where you can take a really good picture with your Bulbasaur, a really good picture with your Pikachu. I think that's the way forward. Is that's the way to sell it to people, is just a cute little add-on to your social media, not really a
Right.
gaming experience.
So
right. Yeah, that's fair. That's a fair way to put it.
This is such a big topic because like you can talk about the future of the technology, virtual reality versus AR, and like how that's going to affect our future and like just our way of life is just a massive topic in general. But like, so I guess we should approach it from the fact that like, how does this VR gaming, AR gaming, like only, you know what I mean? Otherwise, like this is a massive, massive topic, and it is the future. There's no way around it. It's going to be the future. And I hate to be a Debbie Downer, but I'm gonna tell y'all, we are really far away from putting glasses on our face and having AR.
No, you're
overlays.
absolutely right.
We're so
Yeah.
far. Like I would contend that we're 25 years away from that. Like,
But I also think we're a good 5 or 6 or even 10 years away from VR becoming, because
yeah, for sure,
mainstream.
for sure. For
because
being
right
mainstream.
now between the VR and current AR applications with your phone, like that's just easier, and it's easier to show people.
But VR is more compelling. When people get in VR,
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
almost life changing.
I agree.
It's
Absolutely.
unbelievable.
And
Like,
I
It changes
think the-
it changes your whole perspective.
And because of things like the Quest 2 is making this, is what's going to phase out, AR gaming and turn people into believers for VR. Because the fact that I can carry my Quest 2 anywhere, it's a standalone unit. And I've gotten a couple people, my parents, just some regular friends, where I've just brought it and said, hey, you need to try this. When people put on these glasses, like non-gamers, gamers, whoever it may be, they're like, whoa, this is amazing. Like, I have yet to meet anyone or put my Quest on somebody, like, have anybody try this thing that they are not blown away by it.
And the only thing similar to this in my lifetime, as far as gaming tech goes, is the Nintendo Wii. Every generation was buying Nintendo Wii's up and down. And I'm not saying that the Oculus Quest is every generation's buying it, but my aunt has bought one, my mom has bought one, my brother-in-law, who's not a gamer, bought one. My brother bought one, who's not really a big gamer. And it's like, it's not catching on. It's not catching on quite, near as wildfire as the Wii was. But I can see that potential. It's the only thing I've ever seen where people try it and they want to go buy it.
Cole, you
I
just
think
gave me a
we've gone
eureka
far.
idea. You gave me
What?
a eureka idea of what would make VR like really catch on.
What?
What if Nintendo made a VR unit?
Oh, a standalone Nintendo VR
Like
unit? You kidding me?
if they
Unbelievable.
dedicated, like that's the
didn't they do
next.
the cardboard
There,
thing?
there are rumors.
No,
there
fuck
are,
No, that's not dedicated.
I'm
That
talking.
sucks.
I'm talking.
That's an
They make
afterthought.
their next system
Alfredo,
after
that just pisses me off, that little cardboard thing. Like, come
Yeah,
on.
I don't even want to talk about that
you
thing.
hate it, but people bought it.
But if they made an actual VR unit and like put Mario games or a Zelda game with their developers, like with that brain trust, I think that has potential.
I believe there are some
Person-
rumors about it,
personally, I
but
think that's
I think I'll have to do some research on that and get back to you next week on that.
I've seen though. I mean, I think all the companies have patents on it. I would hope I really do hope they're doing it, because I think if there's one company that could make very, very, very compelling gameplay experiences through VR, it's them.
I don't know. You guys are psyched about this Nintendo VR. I'm not.
Can you?
I do not think that's a good idea.
Gaming wise, Nintendo doesn't usually let us down. Everything else is always up in the air. But gaming wise, like in terms of the actual games, they most times don't let us down.
Y'all, Nintendo would just win if there's an emulator I saw. It's a Nintendo 64 like SNES emulator, and this guy it's a VR, so it's VR. He created like a 90s bedroom, and you sit down on your floor and you look at the TV and you pick up a cartridge of like Nintendo 64. You put it in the 64 and you play Nintendo 64 looking around. It's unbelievable.
So you're playing VR, playing Nintendo 64. That's
so
many layers. That's so many layers. I love it.
Inception.
I love it.
Imagine the next layer. You put on a VR unit in VR, so it's like you're in a dream within a dream, like Inception or something.
All right. Oh man, this has been a good conversation. We're gonna keep it going. We'll see if we do it next week, because I think this is a very, very, very wide conversation. Thank you for listening or watching the Dukes of Gaming podcast. Again, you can find us on your favorite podcast service, or you can watch us on YouTube. Leave a like, a review, a comment, anything to help support the show. You can even email us at therealdukesofgaming@gmail.com to have it be read on air. Please hit the bell as well to get notifications on YouTube. We post everywhere, every Monday, every week. So make sure you start your week right with me and the fellow Dukes of Gaming. And we'll see you next week. I bid thee farewell.